Welcome back, Walker guitar fans. This lesson is on how to tune with harmonics. So what we're doing here is I'm going to talk about what a harmonic is, or a little bit, the simple answer. It's actually, even in my head, is kind of complicated to try and understand all this stuff. But and then I'm going to show you how to produce a harmonic naturally and on the guitar, and then I'm going to show you how to tune with harmonics. So kind of simple, kind of hard. Put the kids to bed, they don't want to hear this. Let's get started. So basically the best way to learn how to do harmonics is if you take your open E string and you just play it openly. That's the pitch you naturally get, is an E pitch. Now if you take your first finger, you could use any finger, but it tends to be easiest with the first. If you float it right over the 12th fret, that's your double dots. And I mean right on the fret itself, not in the middle of the fret where you push your finger in. If you just put it right on the string at the 12th fret, but you don't fret the string, you just lightly touch your fingertip to that 12th fret, and you pick the string, it's going to have a different sound. It's going to sound like that instead of... Now in this case the harmonic is the same, well, an octave above, but the same E pitch as this. So it may not be quite as obvious as what's happening as what we'll get into in the future of this lesson, but that's the general idea, and the best place to practice is that you just lightly put your first finger on the 12th fret, right above the fret, very lightly, and you pick, and then you move your finger away to let the string resonate, so your fingertip doesn't soak up the string vibration and the harmonic sound. Now, why is that happening that way? Well, it's happening that way because your finger is now preventing the string from ringing openly. So as the string naturally wants to ring, there's what's called a fundamental pitch, which is your E pitch. That's the pitch right there, but inside of that pitch, the harmonic is still there, it's just covered up from the E note itself. And I think that's pretty awesome, and I don't know that much more about it. I mean, I understand how basic harmonics work, but I'm not the guy to get all scientific about it. And if you are the guy, you should totally email me or post to my forum about the awesomeness of harmonics and stuff, because I really want to know. And Wikipedia is only good for so much. Anyway. Now, tuning with harmonics, to be able to do this, what we're going to have to do is get used to doing harmonics at the 5th fret of the guitar and the 7th fret of the guitar. Okay, so we're going to tune our A string, and you might be thinking back to the lesson with open strings, where we would tune by pushing at the 5th fret to find an A pitch, and on the E string, 5th fret E string to find an A pitch, and then we have an open A string and they're the same pitch. It's kind of like that, but different. But the reason I mention this is in order to tune with harmonics, your E string has to be in tune, or at least close, because you're tuning your guitar to itself. You have to be able to, you know, have that the reference pitch or the E string tuned, or the guitar will be, you know, all said and done, it'll be tuned with itself, but it won't be in tune with any other instrument necessarily. Okay, so that's something to note before you do this. Now, let's get started with the tuning. So 5th fret on the E string is the first pitch that you want. And you're going to notice that it's a lot harder to produce the harmonic at the 5th fret. You have to be lighter. The farther from the center you get out, the lighter you have to get. Okay, so it's going to give you a different sound than E. Your E string is this, and the harmonic is quieter, and it's definitely not the same pitch as an E. Okay, that's actually an A, an octave and a half up. So, okay, so that's the first pitch. Now, the next one you want to do at the same time, and I usually use my 3rd finger for this, is the 7th fret on the A string. And it's going to produce probably a slightly louder pitch that's exactly the same if it's in tune. Okay, if your strings are tuned, you're going to get the same harmonic in two places. And that's kind of the same as the tuning with open, tuning with by fretting a string and the next string up open. Okay, now the good news with this is it's a little bit easier to get that wobble to stabilize and to be able to hear it because the string itself isn't ringing in the way of the wobble. It's just the harmonic. So much easier to hear that. And because you can hear it better, you can really hear if it's stable or if there's a slight wobble that fades out and gets covered up by the fundamental pitch. So tuning with harmonics is definitely preferred long term. It's a more professional way to go about things. Gets you a more accurate tune. Same is true with the next string up. Now if you add distortion, I'm going to add a lot or a fair amount here. Definitely brings it out more. If you use heavy metal distortion, you'll get a crazy amount of harmonic overtone. Real nice. Okay, the same is true with the fourth string, your D string, and your G string. So the goal is to balance that wobble to where it flatlines and it's totally gone. Remember, if you go too high, the wobble speeds up. If you go too low, the wobble speeds up. So the idea is just to get it right in the exact center. Don't ever change the reference pitch. Always change the pitch you're on the string you're trying to tune. Now, as you get up to the B string, the way that I found most accurate, that's the way I'm showing you guys, is we're actually going to do, it doesn't work to do the same way. You can't go, you can't do the 5th fret on the G string and the 7th fret on the B. Now that makes a cool sound. It's kind of nice for like rock and roll stuff, heavy metal fills or whatever, but it doesn't work for tuning. So and you can't just move back a fret because harmonics don't work the same way as fretted notes. So what you can do is if you play the 7th fret on the low E string, that note is a very strong B note, and you do your open B string, and you'll hear that they're the same pitch. Same thing, just fix the wobble if you got one. You got to be a little more careful with this because that open string does kind of hide some of it a little bit. Okay, now as you tune the E string, it's going to be, well, there's two ways, but I would do the same thing that we just did here, just for simplicity's sake, where you do the 7th fret on your A string. That's an E note, 7th fret A string, high E string. Take your time. Always make sure you can hear both pitches. Don't be turning this unless you hear both pitches, a reference pitch and the pitch of the string you're adjusting. The alternative way would be to do, and I'm not going to include this in any diagrams because I don't prefer this way, but it would be the 5th fret on the B string and the 7th fret on the high E string. Now I don't like that because it's not the same. It's not quite as accurate. And what I found is that I think just through the principle of how we're using each string as a reference for the following string, and then that following string is then a reference for the string after that, you're getting farther and farther away from the home point where you started tuning from. And so because of that, that's why I prefer to do my final two strings with the harmonic here on the E string for the 2nd string open and the A string 7th fret for the 1st string open, because these two strings are still much closer to center than if we're trying to use these upper strings as a reference pitch. And overall it tends to keep your guitar much more in tune. And these are both E strings, and as you get to the top, they need to be perfectly in tune. Otherwise, you could run the risk of that E string being a little bit sharp or something. So that's the general idea. Now this takes a little while too. Very soft touch is required. It's a lot of fun. It definitely opens up your playing to do all sorts of things. There are many more harmonics out there. It's very musical, kind of it's referred to as a harp-like quality, where they just sound very they're cool, they don't sound like a guitar. It's awesome. And not that a guitar isn't cool, it's the coolest, but so much in the sonic spectrum with harmonics. It's awesome. So anyways, sorry, I'm rambling now. I just enjoy it. It's fun stuff to talk about. I hope that this was a useful lesson for you all. This will be found on the basic musicianship section of my site, Walker Guitar, so you can check it out there. There's photo diagrams as well, which make life a lot easier to follow, especially if you watch the video once and you get it and then you forget it and you want to come back and you don't want to have to watch the whole video again. So go there, check it out, support the site. It's totally free. There's a great community growing. And send your requests, and I'll see you soon.